Alrighty, I think we're up. Hey, good evening. Welcome to another night with Scuba and the Rise. Of course, Scuba and Rye Guy.
Here doing our thing.
Doing our thing. We're a little late getting started, but you know, it happens. Technical difficulties and things like that.
Yeah.
So what is it? Today is it's second week of November.
Yes, the 12th.
Counting down to Thanksgiving and all the holiday fun, good times.
Oh yeah, turkey and gravy and gobble gobble. And my favorite, pecan pie.
Mm.
Go away.
That's okay. My dad has perfected a recipe of chocolate pecan.
Chocolate, but I don't like.
Save me a slice.
I think I've still got some in the freezer from the last time he made it.
Then give me a slice. Because I'm ready.
Because he makes homemade pies every year for
That's
Thanksgiving.
really good. Homemade pies is good. So there's one thing that I always request from my aunt is her homemade banana nut bread. Even though she will be traveling this year, Thanksgiving, up to PA, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Hopefully I could still get me some banana nut bread at some point between now and Christmas.
I will do it. Try.
You can try. I know it'd be good.
Speaking of, yeah, it's this time of year and all that. The weather today.
I don't understand the weather. Oh wait, no, yes I do, because it's Virginia, and Virginia is crazy with weather.
No, but I'm sitting there driving home to come and do this because today had a school fundraiser for Skittles' school, so we went to a local place for pizza. Well, I'm driving home, and it's like after I get to a certain point, all of a sudden it's less rain and more snow.
Yes, it's insane. Like
it
went from 70 degrees to 30.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, literally, somewhere in that.
So somewhere in there we're doing that, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here?
It's Virginia weather, people. It just has a mind of its own.
It is.
And sure enough, it'll go right back up after tomorrow.
If you didn't have 4 seasons in one day, it wouldn't be Virginia.
That is true.
Or technically 2, because, you know,
We're in the
Virginia.
Philippines.
It has been 4 seasons in one day here, plenty of times.
So I guess so we're gonna kick off with we're gonna kind of roll right in, and we're doing our what's up. This is what we've been doing for the last week.
What has been happening.
So in round about 5 minutes apiece, we'll just kind of see how that goes.
Oh yeah.
But today, so lead us off, Ryan. What have you been up to this week?
Well, it's the calm before the storm, because since I'm finishing up my last few weeks of college, of course there is a paper waiting for me to write. But until that comes, I did some downtime on this weekend, so I tried to kind of breathe in, a little bit of shopping, a little bit of movie watching, a little bit of Veterans Day wings and drinking.
No, yeah, That's right. Veterans Day was yesterday.
Yes, so that was an adventure. Because originally I was supposed to go to a free screening, and then I texted you, I was like, nah, I don't feel like it. Then I ended up at home, and then my dad's like, where can we eat? I was like, let's go to Dirty Buffalo. Very good place to get wings, people.
Alright. Anything else interesting?
Well, I mean, we did something over the weekend, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we will get to that. We did go to the theater and catch a movie together.
Another Scuba and the Rye round number something. Yeah. Round 3. No, round 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, I'm just not going to count. It's just, hey, we both can check this film out. Let's check it out.
Well, other than that, just did a little more dabbling on my ePortfolio website and just preparing to write this last paper.
Oh yeah, you're going to have to start writing that this weekend, aren't you?
Well, a rough draft. I'd rather get it done earlier than later. But
Nice.
You know me, I always like to get it done earlier, so that I just need to play some cleanup and then off to the races.
Off to the races.
Oh, there's one thing that came in over the weekend. I just remembered.
What's
My
that?
cap and gown came in the mail.
Ah. Yeah, counting that down.
Just
you
it's a
also
sign.
have your graduation dinner on the calendar.
Yes, sushi buffet.
Can't go wrong with a sushi
I
buffet.
love sushi, people.
So I think that was covered that.
Yes.
For me, let's see. Actually, I spent a couple days sick. Came down with something on Thursday last week and just kind of tried to take a couple of days to rest up.
Yeah.
But then did chrono on the airsoft field and roll out there Sunday. And of course, Sunday's November 10th.
Yes.
Now, for me, that is my second birthday.
Second birthday.
Second birthday.
Okay.
Because November 10th is the day that the Marine Corps was founded.
Correct.
And since I am a former Marine, so it's my second birthday. Hoorah to all the other Marines out there watching.
Hoorah.
And so I roll up on the airsoft field, and one of the other guys, he's a former Marine as well. And I see his truck. He's got the Marine Corps flag, and then he's got a tripod for an LMG airsoft gun. I walk in, I'm like, dude, did you drive down the street with that? He goes, no, I just put it up there a few minutes ago.
Yeah, if you go down the street with that, people be like, what? You know.
Yeah. But it was good times.
Yeah.
It was cold this weekend.
Yeah, it definitely threw.
I had to sit there and figure out how to do the layering and things like that and get out there. But it was fun. I mean, I did chrono, so I couldn't stay for full days.
Yeah.
But you know, I also had 2 D&D games. Well, one of them wasn't so much D&D, but it was a continuation of this Warhammer campaign with the Saturday Happy Go-Go time. Happy Go-Go.
Is that with the one with the figurines?
No, it's not a war game. It's RPG style.
Okay.
But it's that one where they were trying to redo this rule setup, and the publishing got yanked out after the first book release. So it's like,
gotta roll with the punches.
yeah. Well, our DM doesn't want to just kill everybody off to move on to a new game. He wants it to organically end. So it's like
make the choice, press the button yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. And then of course Sunday we had Agents of Short, and it was a short session.
Oh, very quick.
Well, one of the guys had to go because he was doing dinner with the fam,
Okay.
and then it was like, you know, we were at a good point story-wise to stop, so
Oh yeah.
that's what we did there.
Yes.
And then Veterans Day, and then today was just kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Had an open enrollment meeting at work. That was boring.
I don't really know why you have to have those meetings, because I've been a part of those meetings before, and it's just pretty much telling you something that you already know.
Oh no, this one they changed up everything, but if I go into too much detail on that, I might actually start getting really irritated.
Okay.
I
understand open enrollment. I work on the other side of the pond on that.
Yeah, you're on the other side of that. You're the one who takes in all the paperwork after all of us do our elections. But yeah, so that was it. It was airsoft and D&D. So I'd say it was a good weekend.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm. And did the fundraiser tonight. That was fun.
Okay. What kind of pizza did you get?
So we did 1000 Degree, and Skittles wanted to do a white sauce pizza. So we did the Mitza, which is kind of like a meat lovers, spicy sausage, bacon, pepperoni. We did the Mitza with the white sauce, and I had them add real mozzarella as well as the shredded mozzarella.
Tasty.
It was. And we split the pizza, so she ate half. Roughly half. I ate half, so we're good.
All is gone.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the thing. I was like, I knew I didn't want to, because I've been working on the whole diet thing, and with the trainer last week, it was, hey, start jotting down what it is you've eaten, good, bad, or indifferent. So I've been messing with that, and I knew going into that it would be, I've got this fundraiser thing tonight, so, you know, gonna have pizza carbs.
Yeah, hey, you know, it happens. It'll be alright.
Yeah, so, you know, it is what. I think that was I think that was pretty good there. So I guess we could just hit the ground running because we got a lot to cover tonight.
A lot of reviews.
Yeah,
left, right, and
we've
center.
been busy. Well, last week you had your mom's birthday, so we didn't do a review last week because we didn't know if you were going to make it.
Yeah.
You made it, you know. So we
just postponed that review to now.
Yeah. So let's roll into reviews and start going through these reviews.
All right.
Because we got 3 of them.
3 movies and 1 TV.
Yeah, 3 movies and TV, but the TV is at this point, y'all realize that TV reviews only exist here on Scuba and the Ride.
Please subscribe today.
But the movie ones you post up on your website with
Oh, yeah.
my reviews. So let's see what's our first one, which was you watched last week, but we didn't get the chance to talk about.
Yeah.
And that is, you lead us away.
Okay. Well, the first of the 3 movies is Terminator: Dark Fate. And anybody familiar with hearing that name know it's based off a famed action franchise that James Cameron created back in the 80s. You have Terminator, and then Terminator 2, T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and then you had a few others that really we don't want to talk about. But the reason I say that, outside of just being funny, is the fact that Terminator Dark Fate takes place directly after T2. So it wipes out continuity of 3, Salvation, and Genesis.
Yes.
So that's a positive on that end. But what it is Terminator Dark Fate follows the story decades later after the original Judgment Day, where you have an older Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton once again, and Grace, played by Mackenzie Davis, and they have to she is a human cyborg hybrid that comes from the future to protect another person that, if they don't, leads into an even darker future than what Skynet was going to cause. So that's pretty much the premise, and the film follows beat by beat. I said this before, it's a rehash and repeat. So basically, when you're watching Dark Fate, you'll recognize the outline right off the bat, because it follows 1 and 2's outline with some slight differences. So they add layers to the characters you're familiar with from the lore of the original first 2 movies, but pushes it into a different direction with these new characters. So basically, rehash and repeat. They're trying to rehash and repeat the prior stuff, but try to, create a new scenario where they can go off into a different situation for these characters.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah.
But some of the buzz I was seeing, it seems like this had a lot. If you have watched every bit of all the Terminator stuff up to seeing this,
yeah,
you'll recognize they did a lot of homage and callback and acknowledgement of key moments through some of those other adaptations, even though that this one story-wise takes place differently.
So it's like plug and play, because a lot of stuff, instead of a Skynet that's ruining the future, it's something called Legion. So it's a different AI that takes over the world. So instead of John Connor, it's another character that they have to protect. And even when they try to do slight twists, you kind of see where things are going, because if you're familiar with it. It's a very
predictable movie.
It's very predictable, but what shines above the rest is the action, is the intensity. Like, it's a straight adrenaline rush from beginning, middle, end. It's very tight in doing that. And the reason you get that feeling is because the director, Tim Miller, if you're familiar with his name, he did the Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
So he knows how to do the action, and he just takes that kind of action and just kicks it up a notch. So pretty much the fight between the new Terminator is really on spot on and on point.
Okay.
So
what do you well, obviously from the reading the review,
yeah,
and talking about it, it seems like the biggest problem this seems to have is, 1, it's franchise fatigue.
Yes.
And 2, it's predictability.
Yeah, predictability, and just basically seeing the same movie a third time, like the same kind of outline. You just plug and play in different characters or the same people that you've seen before. It can ruin the enjoyment, because even though you're seeing the action and seeing some new things, it's still familiar to the T, and it just kind of brings it down, because it's like, oh, okay, I know it's going to happen.
What about some of is there any character growth in
the big plus is the characters, because the relationship between Grace and Sarah Connor, their relationship's really good, and because of certain things that have happened with Sarah Connor and her family, she has a lot more depth and layer, and especially when she comes back into contact with the T-800, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. Both of them, their character arc has moved forward. So they don't just rehash and repeat their same character from 1 and 2. They actually have depth, they have purpose, they have a personification for the past being affected by this new present.
Okay.
So they were very good.
All right.
They were very good.
So what are we calling it?
Because of the action and the fast pace, it does hide away a lot of that predictability because it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're just an adrenaline rush. So it captures that action magic that James Cameron had in the first two films, but it's still very predictable. It's the same outline you've seen before, and you hope that they will push in a new direction because of how the film ends in a very ambiguous way. They can actually push it in a new direction.
Okay.
So because of that, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's fun to see at the theater, but it's not a complete full price movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Alrighty. So,
moving on to the current week.
Current week. Next one we have Last Christmas.
Last Christmas.
I gotta be honest. If this has anything to do with the song Last Christmas, it is like one of my favorite holiday songs.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this seems to take that song and reinterpret it in a totally different way.
Oh yeah, so it does in a vein where, I mean, they do play the song at a point, but it's not one of those emphasizes on the music, but it does play off that feeling of the lyrics of it. So, last Christmas you gave me your heart. And then so it seems like the premise of the film bases it off of that, but it's a typical rom-com. So the story follows Kate, who's played by Emily Clark, famed from Game of Thrones, and is basically.
She seems to be. I know. Sorry to just jump in, but Emily Clark's feature films that she's done, the majority of them seem to have been rom-coms.
Yeah,
with the exception of the one Terminator movie,
which we're going to completely forget.
Which is a tie-in.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a tie-in, but. Yeah, but
it seems like she was doing rom-coms for her feature film debut.
It's like after the series she's done, this is their second rom-com. The other one that I've seen before is Me Before You.
Yes.
So
I've been meaning to watch that, but I just haven't sat down to commit to it.
Yeah, Me Before You, which was a very pleasant surprise, but I say that because this one goes the complete opposite of that. This one becomes, like I said, the story follows Kate. It's a person who's down on her luck, who works as an elf at a local Christmas store. She has no future in anything, but then a fateful encounter with this guy by the name of Tom, played by Henry Golding, famed from Crazy Rich Asians. Yes. Very good movie. You should check it out. But this encounter leads to a new direction in her life. Okay. So when I say that it's a very typical rom-com, it has the very basic outline of rom-com. Guy meets girl, or vice versa, girl meets guy, and it follows a broken main character in the form of Kate in this film meets an inspirational companion character, which is Tom. So after that encounter, it leads to the typical romantic bubbling relationship and like different comical hijinks and everything. But the great thing is that rom-coms is all about the relationship and the characters. If they can make you connect with those characters, regardless of how bad the rest of the movie is, you at least have that important part. And Clark and Golding do a great job. They have great chemistry on screen. Their banter is very whimsical. It's very pure. It feels like a realistic relationship.
Okay.
So, as you watch their relationship bubble, that's the one positive light of the film. But it eventually unravels because it falls apart because of everything around it. Everything around it. All the typical tropes you find in a rom-com. It thrusts itself into the relationship, so it's kind of forcing itself with all the side stories, the ancillary characters, and all the foreshadowing elements from the beginning. You see what's going to happen. It's just a matter of connecting the dots.
So this is another fate of predictability.
Yeah. So
the
there is a twist of why and how she meets Tom.
Well,
I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to. There's a how why. But if you watch rom-coms as much as I have in my lifetime, you can pick up on what and why it's going to happen. So, and the third act and climax is a typical melodramatic sequence, and it pretty much it puts a dagger in the heart of the greatness of this film. But like I said, you still are rooting for Tom and Kate because their relationship is what keeps this movie enjoyable.
So I mean, and that's like you said, rom-coms.
Yeah.
It's that primary couple.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, it's that primary couple you're following. It's like they're
because of that. I say this film is for the people who like rom-coms. But other than that, for the general public, it's a Friday night rental, so 2.5 out of 5.
Oof.
That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just I would.
It was
just
enjoyable.
Yeah. So the kind of rom-coms that I like, just to throw it out there, are the ones that actually add depth to the characters around in the story. So Love Actually, the one that came out this year, Isn't It Romantic? That was a good rom-com.
I haven't seen that one.
Definitely Maybe is another good one with Ryan Reynolds. So, you know.
For me, it's like when I think of ones to watch, it's probably some nostalgic value.
Yeah.
And that's 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's
She's
a great
All
one.
That.
Yeah. She's All That is like the prime teenage rom-com.
I mean, that's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
And then 10 Things I Hate About You is just so good.
One of the ones that I'm thinking of that I know is her favorite is The Notebook.
I've heard a lot of good things about The Notebook. And of course, Sandra Bullock did how many of them?
I think 1,000,001.
So,
but what's the girlfriend's take on the movie? She saw it with me.
I don't know, Ghost. What do you think?
I love it. I cried. You have to watch it, so you know that you'll cry too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
but it's still fun. It's
still a rental type thing, you know.
But it was falling asleep, so.
It was hot in that theater. No, I told you about it. It was hot in that
Waking
theater.
him up.
But
That's okay. You fell asleep watching Mandalorian, so it's fair.
yeah, give and take, but yeah, it's still a good movie. Good for the rom-com fans out there. So I recommend it for y'all.
Awesome.
So, what's number 3?
Number 3, we're gonna go. We went from sci-fi to rom-com to horror.
Horror thriller.
Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep.
Now this is the one you and I both went and watched together. And at first I was hesitant because I don't typically like to do a lot of horror and thriller movies. But
you said to me,
I'd branch out and expand on my movie watching, so I agreed to go.
Oh yeah.
Quick question. Did you guys sleep because it's Doctor Sleep on this movie?
Somebody slept in the movie, but I guess it was the characters. But
there's definitely some sleeping going on. Doesn't mean it was us.
Not today, people. Not today.
All right. So, Doctor Sleep is, for all intents and purposes, a direct sequel to The Shining.
Well, it is. It's a direct sequel to The Shining, both in book form and film form.
Yes.
So,
which is apparently a really tough balance, since The Shining veered away from the book
very
in
much
lieu
so.
of Kubrick's
style
of visual, and then this one, we tried to be both respectful of that and respectful of the book.
Yeah. So the director Mike Flanagan knew that going in, because he knew, FYI, Stephen King hated The Shining. If people didn't know that, he hated that adaptation of The Shining. So Mike Flanagan was in a tough boat where there's a lot of people that love The Shining. It's considered one of the iconic horror films of the time.
Yeah.
So he had to find a balance between being a sequel but being a faithful adaptation of the book. So he managed to blend in both. So just to give you a startup for those who don't know, Doctor Sleep follows it's the story that follows Dan Torrance, the kid that was in The Shining. He's a man now, with that troubled past, and he must protect a girl by the name of Abra from the True Knot, which is a cult led by a character by the name of Rose the Hat.
Yeah, that was a little disturbing watching that.
Yeah, but when it's a Stephen King adaptation, it's kind of
yeah, well, also a different point in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I have kids, it's like watching some of the scenes in that film.
You know, when
it's like,
I was thinking about you when watching that. I was like, I wonder what Scuba's thinking right now.
I'm thinking these people deserve what happened to them, and then some.
Oh yes, and that's what's the great part about this adaptation, is because of that. Because of what happens in the film. It doesn't follow the typical horror traps of the bad guys always taking out the good guys. There's some twists that happen throughout the film.
There was a lot of great twists.
Yes.
And I like how the whole thing, the prequel up to it, I like how we kind of fill in the gaps, because, I mean, The Shining came out in the 80s?
Late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in that time frame.
And then here we're picking it up like 30, 40 years later. So
the film does a very good job, and I've told you this right after the film, it does a good job of doing expositional elements, but exposing those expositional elements of the past and introducing characters through characterization, world building, and atmosphere. This movie is very methodical, but the writing and the character study of all three main characters is very tight. So you get to learn where Dan is, why he's a troubled man because of his past. You learn about Abra and her powers and how it conflicts with everything in her life. And then you learn about Rose the Hat and her troubles of leading this cult while also trying to survive. Because if they don't get a euphoric touch of this shining, they're going to pass away, and their deaths are.
I love also, this is one of those things you think it's going one way.
Oh yeah.
And then something happens, and you're just like, oh, why are you pursuing this? Do you not get the sense that this is going to end badly?
Yeah, watching how the methodical pacing, you get engrossed into this world, so it creates endearment and tension at the same time because you care about the characters, but you're always like, what's going to happen? So it really, choices matter, and there are dire consequences when they think they have the upper hand, regardless if it's Dan and Abra or Rose the Hat.
All right, and then of course the third act is is back at the Overlook.
Yeah, they bring everything full circle, so they tie it back into The Shining because they do go back to that hotel.
Yeah.
With some good callbacks and some good respectful references to the past film.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so what are we calling this? What do we want to call this one?
For me, like. It didn't really take me that long to come up with a rating because once after I left the theater and then thought about it the next day, like I just was like completely enraptured by this film. It was such a great adaptation. They do a great job in melding both the sequel and the faithful adaptation of the book, and the way that the one thing I like about films is when they can do exposition without making the audience feel dumb. And they blended it in with the story. They let the characters guide you from beginning, middle to end. The atmosphere just engrosses you. You're just completely on the edge of your seat because you really don't know what's going to happen. And it just brings everything full circle for both The Shining, the current characters, and possibly another sequel because it could continue on for one film. Because of that, it's probably one of the best thrillers I've seen in quite some time. One of the best horror thrillers I've seen in a long time. So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Award-worthy kind of film.
Yeah, I would definitely kind of agree with that. I can't find anything in the film that I would really fault.
The only fault I gave is they used the Deus Ex Machina technique, but there's a reason why they had to use it. So
okay,
but that's not really a pull, but it's just an obvious thing where you just have to get the plot from A to B, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like how it's like using the Overlook as and expanding on what the Overlook is. Yeah. And then we see what happens to Jack.
Oh yes.
We see all that good stuff, and there's some elements. It's just like I was telling you, it's like watching this at the end. It's just like I almost feel bad for Rose the Hat. But then, after some of the other stuff she does in the film, I am not unhappy at all. I am like,
oh yeah, go for it.
You need to suffer a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, I think she needed to be tortured a little bit more. Yeah. So what's your rating? On the rise
I'm gonna
scale?
I'm gonna definitely have to go with the 4 out of 5, 4.5. I haven't watched The Shining. Yeah. I've only seen bits and pieces, but
it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I have noticed that in the last couple of years, there's a lot of references to The Shining.
Yes.
I mean, there was some really good references in the film Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
Which is not part of the original book, but it is a very good
that reference in the Ready Player One was awesome. That sequence was awesome. And
some of those others, you can tell in several other films that have come out, there are references. There's definitely callbacks to Shining.
Yeah.
And so actually watching this makes me actually want to go watch The Shining because I've never actually watched The Shining. Okay. I've seen bits and pieces.
You should definitely go see it now.
I should.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Yes. Very much so. Huh?
I think Saladin's just messing with him.
Yeah, typical.
Anyways,
So
yeah, I'm glad you had a good time and jumped over that fence to try something new.
Yeah, I don't mind trying new stuff.
See, you did Zombieland and you enjoyed it. You've done Doctor Sleep and you enjoyed it. Maybe you need to branch out again on something different.
Bro, movie date.
What?
The ghost with another sharp wit.
Which?
Alrighty, so we got our movies out of the way. Let's next up is we have a TV series, don't we?
A TV series, not a season, but
an overall series review. All right, so what do we got?
Over the weekend, I went and cleared out my DVR and finished the final season of Preacher, which was season 4.
Okay.
So, Preacher, which is a television adaptation of the comic of the same name, and it follows a hard-drinking, chain-smoking preacher by the name of Jesse Custer, who's played by Dominic Cooper. And he gets a hold of this power called Genesis, which is a very godly-like power.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on through the 4 seasons, he's on a quest to find God, because God left heaven for some reason, and it pissed him off. So he's going to find God and figure out why he left heaven. And then a lot of hilarity and crazy action ensues along the way. Along the way, he has partners in crime. He has his trigger friend, happy ex-girlfriend, Tulip, who's played by Ruth Negga, and then a Irish vampire by the name of Cassidy, who's played by Joseph Gilgan. So it's a good, interesting posse of people.
Interesting. So this is 4 seasons, huh?
It's 4 seasons. It was all on AMC.
Okay.
And the premise seems odd and a bit unreal, but the overall spectrum of the series is that it captures the essence of the comic, but also pushes forward a situation where action, it analyzes faith on a both overall and individual scale, but it also pushes to the limelight. You know, it questions, what would you do if you had the powers of God? Because Jesse Custer, the power of Genesis, he pretty much can command anyone to do anything. So, oh yeah. But a lot of the series is all about him, his group, and them getting involved in a lot of craziness in every season.
All right.
It's like,
so what are some notable story arcs?
Notable story arcs is one where they have to constantly fight against this group called the Grail, who is the overall arc is that once they come encounter with the Grail, their whole purpose is to bring about the apocalypse. So each season is slowly leading towards that, and then the 4th season brings everything full circle, where God comes out of his hiding and starts to mess around with people, because he just guiding the chess pieces around because he wants to set off the apocalypse. So it just all comes to head in the final season, where it just goes bombastic. It's like watching Gotham, where it starts off very subtle and then it just goes completely insane in the final season. So it goes from being a drama series where it builds up the characters to a straight comic booky by the end.
So okay, how about pacing?
Pacing is very slow at first. In the first few seasons.
Here's the thing I want to.
Yeah.
Let's phrase so I can phrase this. All right, this series is 4 seasons and it's done.
Yeah.
Now, pacing from season 1 through season 4, does it feel like they paced it thinking they would go longer than 4 seasons, and then having to cut it short since they does it feel like the latter seasons we're trying to wrap up the story faster?
No, because the first season felt like a prologue, because the first season actually doesn't take place in the comics. The beginning of the second season is how the comics start, with them on the road trying to find God.
Okay.
So the first season, it sets up all the characters that are going to be involved. So it sets up the 3 main characters. It sets up the Grail that they're going to come in contact with.
We have a whole season of world building.
Yeah, whole season of world building.
All right, second season, third season, 4th season. That was, here's a finite story that paces all the way through.
Yes.
Because there have been many series where it's like, I start out slow thinking I'm going to be spending years on this franchise, and then only to find out that nope, we're cutting it. So now we've got to try and wrap up as many storylines as we can.
See, the good thing is that they didn't push it in a way where they had to cut it short. But if you know the comics, they did cut out a lot of stuff from the fourth season, but a lot of stuff they cut out was that extra, stuff that only books can do, or only comic books can do. Because, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. The books have a lot more characters, but they streamlined everything into certain characters. And they did the same thing in this series, where they focused on the main characters from the books. So it's the three main characters. It's the Grail, that group that's trying to create the apocalypse. God pops up here and there because he likes to just mess with people because he can. And there is another,
it's kind of in his job description.
Yeah. And then there's the wild card. There is this wild card that he gets introduced in the first season because of that world building. He's called the Saint of Killers. He's a cowboy with unstoppable revolvers. The revolvers can kill anything, including God. Yeah. He's basically like the Death Angel, but he's a cowboy. So he just he walks around everywhere. Cool.
Does he ride a pale horse too?
No, horses run away from him. He can literally, his guns can shoot through the earth, and he can get from California to Australia in one fell swoop. He actually kills the devil in one of the seasons, and Hitler takes over. Yes.
Okay, so on that note, definitely check this series out.
Yeah, it's very crazy, and it's very comic booky with religious themes. So overall, if you're a fan of the comic book or just comic book adaptations to the TV, comic book adaptations, you'll definitely enjoy it because it plays with a lot of tropes. So they have a character that's a bloodline for Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ does show up, but there's a bloodline of an actual person that's on Earth, and his name is called Humperdew.
Alrighty, I think with that we'll leave that there. Go check it out. Preacher.
Yes.
AMC, is it up on Netflix yet?
I think the first 3 seasons might be. Don't
so
quote
the
me.
fourth one
just finished this year.
So probably another 6 months.
So if it is on Netflix, it's probably the first 3 seasons, people.
Alrighty. Okay, so now that we've covered the reviews, we can move on to State of Games.
State of Games.
Alright, State of Game is this point where we talk about all the various games we play or affiliated with and have knowledge about.
Did something.
Yep, and typically we start off with near and dear to most everyone in our age group, and that's video games.
Yes, near and dear since... What?
Don't mind me.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and break camp and start traveling as we talk about our State of Game.
Yeah, traveling. Hopefully there's no hiccups.
Hopefully.
Hiccups.
So, video games. What do we have on... Well, I guess the first thing is we gotta wish happy birthday to a game franchise.
One of our
favorite
favorites.
franchises.
Yes.
Definitely one of my favorites.
But actually, my favorite game of the franchise because there's a mixture of nostalgia and just so many fun nights playing this game.
So much has been spawned by
So,
that. Of course, we're talking about Halo 2.
The 15th anniversary.
15 years. Came out on November 9th, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And they did the remaster on that one with the Xbox
Yeah, with the Halo Master Chief
One,
Collection.
and then the Master Chief Collection. So it's like,
So,
gotta love that one.
any fond memories of playing Halo 2?
Ironically, actually, I didn't play it much. I a little bit of Halo. I probably played a little bit of Halo 2 in the barracks.
Yeah.
But definitely Combat Evolved I played a lot of.
Yeah.
And then Halo 3 was the first one I purchased.
Okay.
And then subsequent ones after that. But I have been meaning to sit down and go through the franchise, but I have watched the story.
Yeah.
Gamers Little Playground has a great saga story for all of Halo. I've watched that several times just because I like the story. I like how with that one they introduced the Arbiter and introduced this whole concept of, hey, here's my protagonist. He's got a story. Well, then there's this other protagonist who has a story, and you have these. The world building that comes from those two stories is amazing.
Oh yeah.
So, and of course that leads into a lot of the great stuff that like Red vs. Blue and Rooster Teeth and all that other shenanigans.
Oh yeah. That out of the series, that is my favorite out of the series.
It's got some of the really cool, epic combat moments.
Oh yeah, it does have a great combat moments. It did like make a step forward for the game.
And it's set up for 3 better.
Okay. Oh, I don't know.
All right.
But yeah, a lot of fun nights playing Halo 2. You know.
All right. So, all right. What else? What else? Video game wise, you been doing?
Well, I did the trifecta this weekend.
Trifecta.
First Friday night was I went back and played Borderlands 3. You went and just did more adventuring on side quests and getting new guns and stuff.
Completion of stuff.
All right. I was completing everything. I was going to areas that I might have missed because I'm trying to dance around that main mission because I assume that's the last one. So I'm just doing all the side quests before I go into that.
Okay.
And then Saturday night was Call of Duty. I actually played the single player campaign on that.
How far did you get?
I got pretty far. I got through like the first 3 or 4 segments. And it's pretty good. It's not something I remember too much from the prior Call of Duty games that I've played, but there's a lot more focus on character dynamics in the story. So it's definitely interesting. And then
the technology is so much better for doing character interaction.
It's insane. The cinematics, it's just so photorealistic. It's cool.
And then last one being
the Division 2. Got to go in and play a few more missions. Coaching my brother through how to play the game, and he's really enjoying this game because he hasn't, like I said, he hadn't played a game in a long time. So playing Division 2 is just eye-opening, just how much they can do, and he's very good at sniping. I can just tell you that. So I'll be up front and I'll be like, I need to take out the guy in the back. Roger, Roger. Boom, done.
Alrighty.
So, tag team, great.
Okay, and so that covers the video game side. I still don't have any video games, but I guess I need a good recommendation on a game to play.
Outer Worlds.
Yes. Huh?
Space Engineers.
Considering the PC is now getting set up, that probably won't be a bad thing to discuss. But, yeah. So, next part of our state of game would be the tabletop groups I work with. Like I was alluding to earlier, we were doing more of the Go-Go Happy Time group, which is continuing our campaign through the Warhammer Wrath and Glory franchise book. This one, it was mainly space travel with few... more or less just kind of a space travel montage.
Okay.
And a lot of themes on geometric shapes. Like we leave one planet, we see this giant Tyranid-like planet, the spherical, and it's like, nope, we're just gonna ignore it. Just kind of leave there, and then we come across one that's pyramid shaped with another creature of some type, and we're like, yeah, we'll totally hang out with you. Quick, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And then leading into our then we get to this rendezvous point because we have this Tyranid package that is starting to come out of sedation.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't want it on our ship.
Yeah.
Well, we get to the rendezvous coordinates and there's a ship waiting for us.
Okay.
Well, it turns out it is not the ship we were looking for. It's somebody who's masquerading. So we call out our contacts as, hey, are you guys, we see this, you guys are here, right? And they're like, no, we're still an hour out. Okay. And then it's like, we're sitting there, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I got it. Wake up the Tyranid, we'll beam it over to that ship, and we'll just wait.
Yeah, like a waiting game.
So it was like, we hail them, and it's like, yeah. And they're like, do you have the package? It's like, yes, we have the package. We're going to go ahead and transport it to this location on your ship. So be prepared. And it's like some deception, and they buy it hook, line, and sinker. And then we just literally dropped in this Tyranid that started ravaging and killing everyone on the ship.
Take it over.
Like, and we're just sitting in the back going,
Are we good? Are we clear? Let's go.
hey, it's contained. It's on its own ship. You know, it's no big deal.
Sounds like a good day.
So yeah, it was overall it was fairly uneventful. I mean, when I got there, they were playing King of Tokyo.
What's that?
King of Tokyo.
Is it a dice game?
It is. You got 5 dice.
Okay.
And you have this map of there's 2 versions. There's King of Tokyo and King of New York.
Okay.
Both of them you have the quintessential cities, and it's like you have these kaiju that are attacking, right? So you have this group of kaiju. Some of them are trademarked, some of them are not, and you have to hold Tokyo and get these victory points.
Okay.
Well, if you're in Tokyo, you cannot heal yourself, and everyone can attack you, and you attack everybody.
Okay.
Well, then you have these 5. Then you have the set of dice, which is a lot like Yahtzee.
Okay.
The dice, they either have a heart, a lightning bolt, a claw, or the numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And you roll you get like 3 rolls.
Yeah.
And you're trying to pick up either claws, hearts, whatever. Now, my buddy has got all of the expansions to this.
Of course.
Which, not only does he have the expansions, but there is actually a company out there that does laser cutting of wood pieces
Okay.
to make these organizational things that fit inside the main box to allow you to put all of the expansions in the same box.
Okay.
So instead of like, okay, I've got this box and then I've got 6 expansions, instead of carrying 7 boxes, I just got to carry 1.
That makes it a lot better.
That seems really, really cool. He's gotten a couple of these for a few games, but he's got all of these expansions to where you have these Halloween characters which introduce costumes. You have these different special abilities. He's got the Cthulhu expansion, the King Kong expansion. But I walked in, they were rolling, and it's like, okay, just jump into there and start taking people out left and right. And, it's good times.
That sounds like a fun game.
And then, of course, Sunday night was Agents of Short.
The best time.
Oh, yes. So,
For a short while.
previously on Agents of Short, the party had gone to an abandoned windmill, or to a windmill that had been converted into a butcher shop.
Okay.
They speak with the Dragonborn butcher, who apparently allows homeless to camp out in the windmill. And he seems to have a steady supply of product to send out to the various meat shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So the party is understandably not kosher with this, but the item we're looking for was part of a delivery to Cuddles Meat Pies in the Trade District.
It makes me think about Sweeney Todd for some reason.
Exactly it.
Okay.
So we go to Cuddles Meat Pies, and we find fresh tracks, so it looks like there's somebody who'd been there.
Yeah.
As we're and then we have the storefront, and then we have the residence. So we decide to investigate the residence. As we get close to the residence, we are ambushed by 5 bugbears.
Okay.
Now, battle ensues, and we are victorious, of course, and beat the crap out of these bugbears.
Okay.
Our one of our characters, he casts suggestion to get them to just kind of curl up in the fetal position on the ground in winter, and then the other ones are attacking, just hammer, and bloody mess everywhere. Well, then it's like, all right, let's investigate the domicile. So my character, being the lawyer, the one that talks their way out of things, go knock on the door. I get no answer. I check the doorknob. It's unlocked. I go and I push the door open to see what's going on, and there's a guy on the other end shoots a crossbow bolt. So I take the bolt. They're just like, really?
A little sting.
Yeah, and then the person behind the door reaches out and hits, and it's like, All right. So we proceed to beat the crap out of the two of them. And then it's like, wait. And then we start talking. It's like, there was this that happened outside. We were wanting to make sure everything was cool in here. Like, oh, yeah. And then the DM's like, everybody roll a perception. Like, okay. All of a sudden, based on our perceptions, we hear somebody in the other room. It sounds like they're all tied up and gagged, and they're doing like, okay. And then insight, they're lying. And it's like, let's try this again. And go and we check inside the other room, and there's another dwarf named Steel Toe.
Steel Toe. With boots?
I don't know if he had boots on. Yeah, I think he had boots on. But
Steel Toe boots.
We go to, and he's like, yes, I work for Xanathar, and they kidnapped me outside the marketplace and whatever. And the two of them are like, he works for Xanathar. We're going to kill him in retribution. Like, really? Really?
He said, she said, kind of deal.
And of course, the dwarf was like, so, did you see that group of bugbears that Xanathar sent? And we're all like, no.
It's just hilarity.
So we've one of the two in the house tried to run away.
Okay.
We pinned the guy, and as the girl's leaving, she reaches around with a hand crossbow bolt and kills the guy, and then darts off. Top Shelf pursues. The three of us come out of the building, and all of a sudden we hear this cackling laughter from the roof. We look up, and there's a character who has got this wide brim hat and this long coat on. And of course, we're sitting there listening to this description, and the first thing that we think of is Carmen Sandiego. So now it's like we all have this image of this person in a giant red fedora hat and this red trench coat laughing at us. And that's where we ended the session because, like I said, one of the guys had to leave to go have dinner with the family.
Yeah.
And it's like, figured it was a good stopping point story-wise.
So you're just going to be trying to find that person?
Yeah, it was, as Penumbra was alluding to, there's a series of short little encounters to get us to this point. So he was hoping we would get through a few more. Yeah. We tried to progress through. I mean, we only spent 2.5 hours playing, 2.5, 3 hours playing. So that was definitely a lot faster pace than previously. So this weekend is going to be the Airsoft crew for their D&D, and it's like, oh god, what are we going to do now? Because they still have to figure out which direction they want to go. Are they going to travel south to Baldur's Gate, or are they going to travel back into the wood to try and find Spider and figure out what's going on with him, or are they going to roll down to Waterdeep for their own attempt at the dragon heist? Or, just
plenty of choices.
Dive into Undermountain and see what kind of happens there? I mean, we have no idea.
Roll the dice
and the bar going.
Yes, the real estate. That is going to be some shenanigans. But, I think I've signed up to Marshall full day this Saturday? Yeah. So, should have some interesting gameplay for that. I did find out that there was a Milsim West event this past weekend. Okay. It was called Saratov in West Virginia. Apparently that is fairly well attended. Number of the regulars from Balahak went out there. So I haven't heard any good field reports from that. Okay. And then apparently there were several other multi-day events. So of course leading in we're counting down to Rev in December. They announced when the next Z is going to be. It's going to be in March. So Z4 is going to be in March, so that should be interesting to see how that plays out. And
it should be fun.
Yeah, well, it also allude to, I guess Balahak is on the verge of launching a new website. Okay. Standing by for that because they have a lot more stuff they're trying to put on their calendar for next year. Okay. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out.
Don't forget, for Rev, they just released the role players.
Oh, yes. They were the role player docs. Was that to the marshals or to the public?
I'm not in that page anymore.
Oh, that's right. You left the force.
I temporarily
Discharged.
But no, they just released the documents for role players. So they are looking for role players currently at Biohack for the Rev.
You
And
planning to
they're
sign up for that?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything from State of Game there, Saladin?
Actually, with the Desolate Space group that we have going currently that we stream on Mondays and Sundays, we actually started up the new server.
That's
Started
good.
playing on that. Problem is, all of the mods that we have in there, we have what are called Reavers. We've taken out the rest and we left Reavers in.
Okay.
Yes. Same montage as the regular Reavers that you're all thinking about.
There's a lot of choices there. Which franchise we
Space Reavers. Cannibals.
Oh, that franchise.
Yes. And needless to say, we had some interactions with the Reavers. Because if you leave your antenna on your ship, they detect it and come to investigate. Someone forgot to turn off their antenna. Needless to say, we had a couple Reavers pay us a visit. But our great Volgraza was AFK and defended us with his ship. And he wasn't even there.
That's good programming.
Oh, yeah. So, we had some interesting stuff because we get back on there finally, and Volgraza's like, oh, yeah, just don't mind the mess in the pit. What mess? We look in the pit, and it is filled. Because we have a pit that we take and disassemble everything. Well, there's a lot of stuff in the pit.
Did you remember to pay your tribute for your
Yeah.
overlord there?
Yeah. But for those Patreon people, when you listen on to the Patreon and stuff, you'll be able to hear Volgraza's side of the adventure for the State of Game. But
I assume he wants to talk about it, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
But other than that, not much. Working on a couple storylines for Space Engineers for me and Volgraza, and hopefully some new blood if we can get a computer working for them.
I wonder if he's referring to somebody. I'm feeling like he's referring to somebody.
He might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, yeah, that is it, and I'm looking forward to the D&D.
Yeah.
Because I want to get my free grub.
Oh yeah, there was there's that, and then there was I just remembered it because it made me think about it. I got a package in the mail.
What did you get in the mail? I saw you said you saw something and you got something in the mail.
Well, remember our vendor friend
Yes.
from Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
They sent me Seahawk stuff.
There you go.
Right? They sent me 2 koozies. They sent me a great little Christmas decoration. And I'm thinking there's something else because she reached out to me because I took the opportunity to test out doing a voiceover on for an Instagram video. And that was fun. But she's like, didn't want me to not represent Seahawks when they played the 49ers on Monday. And it's like, I'm feeling good because Seahawks beat the 49ers on Monday.
Yes, they did. I watched the game last night.
So
it was a good game. Went in overtime.
All right. Sorry, quick sidetrack for that. But now we can gonna go ahead and roll into odds and ends.
Odds and ends, and there's a lot of different odds and different ends.
You said quite a few, but I tried to narrow it down to some stuff that was really kind of.
No, I throw the paint and see what sticks.
Alrighty. First one. Now, of course, odds and ends for you first-time listeners or whatever. Odds and ends is a collection of internet stories that Rye Guy happens to come across.
Sometimes falling deep in the rabbit hole.
Yep, and these are things, well, we kind of look it over, skim the article, but we only spend a couple of reactionary thoughts and opinions based on the initial skimming of the article, or in some cases, just the headline alone, which is just like, wait, what? So, first one in our list happens to be an article from shortly after Rye did his review for Terminator Dark Fate. And that is a discussion on how Dark Fate, while its opening weekend did do well in the box office, it was not enough to set a good trajectory for the rest of the potential earnings, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
So, Rye, you want to take it away on that?
Oh well, Terminator Dark Fate. Well, when it was released, it was #1 at the box office, but it only took in 29 million domestic, and brought in over 72.9 million worldwide.
That seems really low.
Yeah, it is really low because of the budget is in the range of 185 and 196 million. And the protocol for a lot of films is that you have to make 3 times as much as your budget. And based on the numbers they were pulling in the second weekend, they aren't going to touch the budget. And Paramount is going to be losing lots of money on this thing.
Well, an interesting bit in the article, they did have some numbers for the other Terminator movies. As far as how much they brought in. But yeah, this article on Collider is definitely worth checking out.
Oh, yeah.
Our next article is from CNBC. And let's see, the headline for this one is blah, blah, blah. Apple is laying the groundwork for an iPhone subscription.
Yeah, as reported, investors have been pushing forward for a subscription service where people would pay a subscription to Apple and get new phones whenever they release them, or new devices whenever they release them.
Well, some of the service carriers have been doing that. So here's this, like, we're just bypassing the carrier straight from the manufacturer, going to allow you to subscription your iPhone.
Yeah, they're just playing into that thing where, like, it's our device, we have a fan base, let's go ahead and just do our own kind of, subscription base, and you plug and play your service, kind of like how Disney did their streaming service with Disney Plus. Pulled their stuff in for their own thing.
Alrighty. Our next one, we've got Universal Studios news. Or at least Universal Studios Japan's Super Nintendo World.
Yeah, they got a Super Nintendo World over in Japan, as reported on Kotaku.
That's just, like, weird.
It's weird, but cool at the same time.
Oh, yeah, totally. Just totally. Mushroom Kingdom buildings. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Just to be, like, looking at a real-life version of any kind of Super Mario World you played in, it just makes you smile.
Alrighty. Next one we got here is this. This one, it just caught me because the Fallen franchise.
Yeah, the
apparently
Fallen franchise?
This is like Olympus has fallen.
Yeah.
London has fallen.
Which was terrible. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
And what was the third one that just came out? Something.
Angel has fallen, which we didn't get a chance to see, or I didn't get a chance to see.
And apparently they have 3 more films and a TV spin-off.
Oh yeah, as reported on the Screen Rant, they're planning on continuing the film franchise with Gerard Butler, and also spin it off into some kind of TV series, make their own little universe.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, the movie had lukewarm receptions, but it made some money.
The franchise is fairly simple, so it doesn't have a big.
What this is, it does the Blumhouse process, where Blumhouse is the main maker of a lot of these horror films. Keep the budget low, have a high return. So what they've learned, the people that are behind the Fallen franchise, is like to keep the budget low and make a lot of money, even if it doesn't look like big returns when you compare it to the big budget films. With the budget, say, like down here in the 10s and 20s, and you're making like 80, 90, 100 plus, it's a profitability. So
alrighty. Our next one is some Ghostbusters 3 news.
Ghostbusters 3.
Dan Aykroyd confirms the original cast are returning.
Oh yes, so all the 3 surviving members of the main 4 group will be answering the call in this new Ghostbusters coming out next year.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, next we got 3 more stories, but they're all Marvel related.
Super Marvel.
So first one is kind of one I wasn't really shocked, but on the same token I was kind of shocked. And that is Disney is pushing RDJ for an Endgame Oscar.
Oh yes.
So apparently they weren't planning to put the cast of Avengers in for Oscar nomination. Now they've decided, yes, we're going to go and put in not only RDJ, but Scarlett Johansson and several others for Best Supporting Actor roles.
Oh yeah. So it was initially they weren't going to do anything, but because of some pushback from people in the fan community, they decided to go and push forward supporting cast, like you said, Robert Downey Jr., but also a slew list of other actors that were in the film. So Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, Josh Brolin, Paul Rudd, and Don Cheadle.
All right.
So yeah, pretty much almost a lot of the main bullet points, but it goes to show you how strong of an influence Endgame was.
Alrighty. Next up, we got Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige breaks silence on the split with Marvel Entertainment and Ike Perlmutter.
Yeah. So just to revise history, way back when they started all these movies for the MCU, Kevin Feige was under the TV or the Marvel Entertainment banner. And then something happened and it got split, and Kevin Feige went under Alan Horn and Bob Iger. Separated them from the TV sphere.
That's right, because Ike Perlmutter was driving force behind Agents, and that's kind of where that whole... It looked like Agents was going to be tying into the MCU, and then Agents never really did.
Oh yeah.
Or the MCU never really acknowledged Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah. So a lot of the rumors that happened when that split happened, a lot of rumors that were out there were saying that the reason that the split happened was because of Perlmutter, being tight with the budget and not wanting to diversify some stuff. So what Kevin Feige came out and said was basically what the rumors were. Like, Feige had a vision to broaden the scope of the MCU, include more characters, pay the people that wanted to be paid, etc., etc. And that's pretty much what he came out and said. So if they didn't break, it looked like we possibly would have not got Black Panther or Captain Marvel. Possibly.
All right. Last one. Kevin Feige confirms She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight will appear in movies after their Disney Plus shows air.
Yeah. This
Speaking
is
of
on
Feige's vision to broaden the MCU, that seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're actually going to have tie-ins for these TV show characters with the films.
It makes sense because since they're putting a lot of the movie characters getting their own TV shows on Disney Plus, it would make sense that even the ones that are starting on Disney Plus will integrate with the films because it's now becoming a bigger world, so they have more platforms to build stories. So, I look forward to seeing Moon Knight and the Guardians together. Might be interesting to see how he interacts with Rocket.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, now that we've wrapped up odds and ends, obviously there are additional stories that have come down the pipe that we couldn't get to in this time, but we will continue to go through. And if you have any suggestions for some odds and ends, by all means, reach out to us. Let us know. So with that, we'll do our contact info and then transition over for Patreon section.
More stories.
So let's see. Starting off with the Scuba and the Rod Show's parent, which is Scuba Studio. You can find us on Facebook.com/Scuba Studio. Don't forget to like the page and also check out the Scuba and the Rye Facebook group, where we have discussions set up for each of the episodes, as well as links to the articles we talk about. What? All right. Okay. Also, if you like the show and like the studio, and want to help support us in our creative endeavors, you can go to patreon.com/Scuba Studio. There you can sign up. Patrons get early access to and exclusive access to content as we create it and release it. You can also email us at scubastudio@gmail.com. Just if it's concerning Scuba and the Rye, just go ahead and put in the title Scuba and the Rye, and then feel free to give us some feedback, some suggestions, opinions, praise.
Everything in between.
Yeah, pretty much. You can also, we're on YouTube. We're beginning to be on YouTube. We have audio versions that are on YouTube and the video version. So if you're watching us here on YouTube, don't forget our audio versions on Google Play, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. If you are listening to us in the podcast medium and want to see some of the stuff we talk about in a video format, by all means, go look for Scuba and the Rye on YouTube. Also, we have a Discord server where we can talk live and have plenty of discussions. It's look for Scuba Studio on Discord. Links is also in Facebook page. And of course, I am Scuba, and you can find me on Twitter at ScubaCod, Instagram, all the media places is ScubaCod. And Rye, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram under IncubusTrab. Message, send a friend request.
Yep. With that, well, thank you for checking us out, hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.